Lily sat by the window of her small apartment, staring out at the busy streets of New York City. The autumn breeze rustled the leaves of the trees below, and she couldn't help but smile at the thought of how lucky she was. I have so much to be thankful for, she thought to herself. The animal shelter she volunteered at, the few close friends she had, her small but cozy apartment. It wasn't much, but it was enough. But in the back of her mind, a niggling thought lingered, a whisper she couldn't shake. She had always believed that kindness was the best way to live, that gratitude would take her far in life. It was her guiding star. Still, today, something felt off. A knock on the door pulled her from her thoughts. "Hey, Lily," came Johnson's voice from the hallway. "You got a minute?" Lily stood up and walked over to the door. There he was, her neighbor. Johnson had lived across the hall for almost a year, and he always seemed to be in some kind of trouble. He was charming, funny, and effortlessly likable, always quick with a smile that made you forget his flaws. Lately, though, those flaws seemed to be becoming harder to ignore. "Of course, come in," Lily said, stepping aside. She had always opened her heart to those who needed help, and Johnson had been no exception. "I hate to ask, but I'm in a bit of a bind," he said, his voice lower than usual. "I lost my job, and things are tight. I could really use some help with rent this month." Lily paused, studying him. She had always been a bit of a soft touch, and there was something in his eyes that tugged at her heart. She'd known him for months now and knew he wasn't a bad person, just lost. "Yeah, I can help," she said before she even thought about it. Her voice filled with the kind of warmth that had earned her a reputation for being the most giving person in her building. She had no idea what she was getting herself into. The days after that felt like a blur. Johnson moved in, promising it would only be temporary. Lily didn't mind, at least at first. She was used to helping others, and he seemed genuinely grateful. She cooked for him, made him feel at home, and even let him borrow a few $100s when he said he needed it to make ends meet. But gradually, things began to shift. Lily noticed that Johnson stopped looking for work. He spent his days lounging on the couch, watching TV, while she ran out to her volunteering shifts or worked at her part-time job. She didn't mind at first. After all, he was going through a tough time. But soon, his gratitude began to feel more like an obligation, an expectation. He never pitched in with the chores, never once offered to help with the groceries or cooking. Slowly, she started to feel like a caretaker, not a friend. One evening, she was searching for her favorite coat, a gift from her late mother, but couldn't find it anywhere. It was a beautiful, deep red wool coat, the kind you wore when you wanted to feel elegant, even on the busiest streets of New York. "Johnson, have you seen my red coat?" she called out, her voice tinged with confusion. He didn't look up from the couch. "Nope, haven't seen it," he said, a little too quickly. Lily felt a pang in her chest but dismissed it. Maybe I misplaced it, she thought. She wanted to believe the best in him, but as the days passed, she began to notice more things missing. A pair of earrings she'd left on the kitchen counter, a book from her bookshelf, and each time she asked him about it, Johnson's response was the same: too quick, too defensive. One afternoon, after a particularly exhausting shift at the shelter, Lily came home to find him hosting a small party in their apartment. Loud music was blasting, and a group of rowdy, unfamiliar faces crowded her living room. "What the hell is going on here, Johnson?" Lily's voice broke through the chaos. "Oh, hey Lily." Johnson greeted her with a grin, clearly tipsy. "I thought it'd be fun to invite a few friends over. You don't mind, do you?" Lily's heart sank. "This is my apartment, Johnson. You're throwing a party without asking me first?" He waved her off. "Come on, it's no big deal. You're always so serious about the shelter and helping others. This is just a little fun." Lily's eyes searched the room. Bottles of alcohol, cigarette butts scattered on the floor, and the unmistakable scent of something she couldn't quite place filled the air. She felt a deep sense of betrayal, but there was more. As she glanced at the coffee table, she saw something that made her stomach turn. Her own personal supplies from the shelter, stacks of donated food, and toiletries, were being used to feed the group. Lily felt the last vestiges of her patience crumble. "Get out," she said, her voice low but firm. Johnson stood up, his face suddenly dark. "You're overreacting. It's just a party. You should lighten up." Her heart broke. "I've been nothing but kind to you, Johnson," she said, her voice trembling. "I've given you everything. My space, my time, my money, and this is how you repay me? By taking whatever you can from me and using me?" For a moment, there was silence. Then Johnson, drunk and angry, sneered. "You're so naive. You're a fool for thinking people are going to take care of you like you take care of them. You're the one who made me feel like I could just take from you. You want to blame me? Blame yourself." Lily's heart clenched. He was right. She had let him take advantage of her. But in that moment, she realized something. It wasn't too late to change. She didn't have to keep sacrificing herself for someone who didn't appreciate it. The next morning, Lily packed her bags. She didn't even look at Johnson. She didn't need to say anything else. The truth was, she had been the one who let it all happen. She had been so eager to help that she'd forgotten to help herself first. She walked out of the apartment, her heart heavy but also lighter than it had been in months. She didn't know exactly what would come next, but she knew this. I can't keep pouring from an empty cup. Lily's journey wasn't easy, but it taught her a powerful lesson. Gratitude is beautiful, but it must be tempered with self-respect. She learned to set boundaries, to say no when it mattered, and most importantly, to never again allow her kindness to blind her to her own worth. As she left the chaos behind, Lily felt a quiet sense of peace. She didn't need to fix others. She just needed to be whole herself,